Dundee United players celebrating with the fans at the end of a derby which they utterly dominated. Sapsford and Dolchik with the goals. United join those teams on 4 points. They become just the 5th Premiership side to win a game this season. It's bizarre. 20 matches completed, more than half the Premiership still waiting for their first victory, including, of course, Aberdeen and Falkirk, who are meeting at Pittodrie. Willie Miller, you're long into your half-time interval there. There was some controversy towards the end of the first half.
Yeah, we'll start with that, Richard, and believe it or not, Jimmy Tulline actually got a yellow card as well. It's not often you see him losing his temper at the side of the pitch. It was Nicky Devlin that got himself sent off. Originally it was a yellow card. It's up against Calvin Miller out in the touchline, and he's recovering, and he gets the ball. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He clears the ball, it goes in the direction he wants it to go in, but he follows through. And you know, a lot of times it's hard not to follow through when you're actually playing the ball forward, but with perhaps too much force, I would suggest. Having seen a little replay of it, you know, everybody can make their own mind up. The referee thought it was only a yellow card to start with, but he was invited by VAR to go over and have a look, as a clear and obvious mistake, and they decided to give Nicky Devlin the red card, so he was sent off 43 minutes. Before that, it was pretty much one-way traffic. Aberdeen should have had this beyond Falkirk. Keskinen sets it up for Jensen. I mean, it's a good save by Scott Bain. I have to say, Scott Bain's been in top form this afternoon, making a number of really vital saves. Jensen then crosses the ball for Yenge, who gets a little touch on it, but you know, the usual, Yenge doesn't control it. He should have done much better. Bain comes out, gets himself injured as Yenge goes into him pretty fiercely. So that was another chance gone. And then, you know, Keskinen down the left. Keskinen's been, well, he's been impressive in how he picks the ball up and gets himself into these
seen that
areas.
movie before,
yes,
Willie?
I've seen it many times. But then, you know, the final strike is just not good enough. He had a left foot shot that was well saved again by Bain. Yenge then, really quick thinking by the big striker. He takes a quick throw and it catches Falkirk totally flat-footed onto Milanovic, who drives down the left-hand side. But again, the finish is poor. He strikes it across the face of the goal and it goes past the far post. Keskinen on the break as well. Just after that, another strike, good save by Bain. Yenge once more, a good cross in from Clarkson, free kick, and you think he's got to get on it, but he just doesn't manage to make contact with it. If he can make contact with it, it's definitely ending up in the back of the net. And then Milanovic coming down the right hand side, but he makes the wrong choice. He goes for the near post and Bain easily saves it. And then of course Nicky Devlin gets himself sent off. I think you have to make your own mind up. I think, you know, if you're looking at it, you can understand Nicky Devlin going through. I don't think he's got any option but to go through the ball as he clears it, but perhaps it was just too much force behind it, and when the referee went over and had a second look, decided to order him off. So Aberdeen 0-0, dominated the first half, but down to 10 men. You know, and a bit of a mountain to climb in the second, I would suggest. As far as Falkirk's concerned, not too many efforts. Calvin Miller had a shot over the bar. Brad Spencer, probably the best effort from round about 22 yards. A good save by Meetoff. And Arfio had a free kick outside the box, but it was an easy take for the Aberdeen goalkeeper. So that's why it's 0-0 at half-time. Remember
all the highlights on Sports Scene tonight, 7:15 on the BBC Scotland channel. I've not seen the pictures from Pittodrie. I'm told that Devlin, the studs, kind of rake down Miller's shin as he follows through. But as Willie said, you'll see it tonight on Sports Scene. Make your own mind up there. 0-0 it is. Aberdeen Falkirk. Aberdeen down to 10 men for the second successive match, having had a player sent off at exactly the same point in the game, right before half-time. It is also goalless at Easter Road. John Rankin is there for us. How's that game been first half, John?
Richard, it started really well. After 4 minutes, a young guy was through in goals from the right hand, coming into the right hand side. It's a great through pass, and he strikes it right across the goalkeeper, and Jordan Smith makes a great save down to his right. After 7 minutes, Boyle comes through on the left hand side, a cut back for Junior Hoylett, and Junior Hoylett plays it with outside his right foot off the crossbar. You think this is going to be a great game. Since then, both teams have cancelled one another out, and there's not been a lot in the game. I think St Mirren's biggest that's going to cause Hibs problems with a long ball, where they took the front two being really physical, winning knock-ons and then trying to run in behind. But over and above that, there hasn't been a lot in the game. Both teams, as I expected, David Gray lined up in the 4 to try and confuse St Mirren, but he actually started with a back 3 as we thought he would. Both teams have been 3-5-2 and just cancelled one another out. It's not been from the want of willing runners. They're definitely getting balls into the box, but there's not, after the initial run, there's nobody there to get support quick enough. So there's been a lot of endeavour, a lot of tackles going in, but there's nothing really to report in respect of goal attempts just now.
Hibernian 0, St Mirren 0. Remember earlier, Rangers 0, Celtic 0. A really dull 90 minutes at Ibrox. Rangers the better of the game, but very little in terms of goals, chances, and Celtic absolutely a shadow of the team, certainly going forward, that they have been in recent years. And then a very different Dundee derby. Dundee 0, United 2, Zach Satsford and Ivan Dolcek with the goals there. Scott Allen United were head and shoulders above their city rivals, weren't they?
Yeah, well, they're the only team that played it like a derby, that's for sure. I think in terms of duels and physicality and wanting to win first and second balls, United came out in tops all over the park. And in terms of what Dundee offered, it was genuinely next to nothing. I was so disappointed in them today. I get when you're playing away from home, you have to be solid and have a foundation where you don't concede goals, but they just offered nothing creativity. Simon Murray up front was just frustrated from basically minute 1. Balls launched up to him, no one round about him, and just honestly the game could have been on for 2 days and they wouldn't have scored. In terms of United perspective, they just done everything right, a real mature performance, and they're a team as well who have lots of new additions. Jim Goodwin's had to build a new team. You have to look at that frontline guys coming in, and Sapsford, Dolcek having real impacts every game now, really good. Kamara for me in the middle of the park, outstanding, and obviously that height and physicality they do have at the back. So for me, Dundee just weren't set up to cause them any sort of problems. It was devoid of any ideas, and Dundee United well worthy winners in this game.
Look, I'm well aware that United have been extremely busy in the transfer market, but I mean, I'm looking at some of these players coming on. I've seen next to nothing of some of these. In fact, there's a couple of names there that just didn't register for me. One thing you would say about United is the players he's brought in pretty much all seem to be making an impact, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Obviously, Stevenson's come in, who we all know from last year. Yeah. He was really good at times today as well, especially in that first half. Muller came on again, 6 foot plus, real physical presence. But Satchford, obviously Waters is missing. Dolcek, they've all been scoring goals and creating goals, and that bodes well for them as the season progresses. You can, yes, I'm looking at their injury list as well. Their captain's out injured, Papo's out injured. They've still got players to come back. Yeah. Sturton's out. I just look at Dundee. That's as bad as I've seen this season in terms of a team.
Yeah.
Trying to create anything. That was a derby match day with the home team. That, for me, that doesn't bode well. So I don't know, they'll have to do a lot of soul searching what they come up with in terms of the next few weeks. So you can't sit in a flat back 5 every week. You can't. You have to give your team some sort of freedom and urgency to go and play and score goals, which had no width. To be fair, what I would say is when Ugan came on at half time for Danda, he did make more of an impact just because he was direct and he tried to make something happen. But any time a cross came into the United box, it either went out for a throw-in or it was headed away from a United player. There was one guy in the box, so it was really poor from a Dundee perspective. But United done everything right, everything you have to. As I said, first, second balls, really competitive and showed their moments of quality.
We'll get the interviews with the managers. We'll play them out later once the action is over at both Pittodrie and at Easter Road. As you can hear, the action has got up and running again. Certainly at Pittodrie, they're just coming out at Easter Road. We'll be with John Rankin, who's there, Willie Miller, who's at Pittodrie, be with them throughout. One thing that I wonder about, Scott, Stephen Presley, there was an awful lot of criticism about the appointment. The Dundee fans clearly not happy. Horrendous start in the Premier Sports Cup, kind of gathered a wee bit, lost at home to Hibs in the first home league game, and then those draws at Ibrox and at Rugby Park. And I just wonder if the way he approaches the game, the players he's got, are they better suited to be playing away from home when there isn't the impetus, if you like, there isn't the expectation that they're going to be the attacking side?
On this evidence, yes. It's the easiest thing in football is to destruct in terms of how a team sets up to go and be creative. That's the easiest thing, but being a home team, especially in a derby, you have to offer some sort of threat. Still, Simon Murray scored 15 league goals last year in a team that wasn't overly performing, so you know that if you create him chances, he will most likely take one. If you look at that over the course of a season, if you were to stay in that shape, that could be most frustrating for the players playing the system, and then the fans obviously come to paying their money, come to watch, because from a Dundee perspective, if you were coming to watch your team today, it was just nothingness for me. There was no urgency, never looked like getting back in the game. And then you look across the road to your neighbours and you see them playing with fight, aggression with and without the ball, and that quality in the final third, it's not good. So for me, yeah, I think you're spot on. I think, yes, being away from home, away to Rangers, away to Kelly, where it can be difficult, you can soak up pressure, not a lot's expected of you, but it has to be better than that when you're playing at home.
Yeah, Rob was giving updates throughout almost the whole second half about the Dundee fans who were starting to drift away. We saw pictures towards the end of the game. They were streaming out of that stadium, and you feel there are a lot of bridges to be rebuilt between the manager and the fans. After that, Heart of Midlothian have announced the signing of a German keeper. We were expecting this. Alexander Schwolo has signed on at Tynecastle, played more than 200 Bundesliga matches, according to the Hearts Post. He's 33 years old, so he's got an awful lot of experience, and it's a position obviously that's caused him a few issues so far this season. So Hearts have brought on board the German keeper Alexander Schwolo. Right, the action up and running at Pittodrie first of all. Willie Miller.
It was at Richard, yeah. Aberdeen obviously. They brought on Gavin Malloy, by the way, and they've taken off Yenge. Would you believe?
Wow.
Yes.
Well, I would, because that's exactly what happened in midweek, that you took off your striker.
Okay, so I'm then searching for a striker, and it's Polvara that's been given the job of playing as a number 9 by the looks of it. The noise in the background is because Leighton Clarkson, he had to go off, and the referee's not letting him on as the player rages on. So you can imagine. Wow. You can imagine the stick that Ross Hardy is getting, and then he's away to double up on it because he didn't wave. The ball's out of play, right, and he didn't wave Leighton Clarkson on, so he's told Leighton Clarkson to go back off the pitch, and then he's waved him back on again. Nonsense. Anyway,
okay.
Yeah, it's a big challenge for Aberdeen now with the sending off, and Nicky Devlin sending off, and the fact that they don't have another natural striker, and it is Polvara that's taken up that role. So where are the goals going to come from? They don't have a natural striker out there. Keskinen has played through the middle, but not a natural striker. They're making some changes here. Palaversa is coming off, and Shinny's going on, and Ausish is going on, and Milanovic is coming off. So he's mixed it up a bit, but it's going to be a long 45 minutes, and particularly where Aberdeen are at this moment, rooted at the bottom of the table, then it's a big challenge for them to take anything from this game. Of course, if it saves 0-0, then at least they've got a point, but I think at home against Falkirk you'd expect the full 3 points, but that ordering off is a huge blow to Jimmy Tillene's men, and a big challenge for them in the second half.
Well, you've got to say that Falkirk, given the kind of players they have and the way that John McGinn likes his team to play, they are the sort of side who could capitalise on the opponents being down to 10 men. Willie will keep us right across that one. John, I gather there was a penalty shout at Easter Roads?
Yes, there was. It was a corner comes into the box, and a bit of pinball was played. Rocky Bashiri got across the defender and he stuck out a leg, but there was nothing in it from up here. It did go to VAR, and Matthew McDermott straight away just waved it away. So it was a penalty dispute. Richard, it would have been very soft if it was given. I've not seen obviously the television pictures, but up here it would have been soft if it was given.
And generally, how has that second half started?
Much the same. It's just two teams that are cancelling one another out. As I said, St Mirren have got the two physical strikers, and they want to put the ball in the box, but they're putting it in, and there's 3 Hibernian centre backs to go and try and head it away. So I think it'll be much of the same the second half. I've got a funny feeling when David Gray spoke about it earlier in the game, before pre-match, that he knew that it was going to be this way, and I think you could be able to expect Kieran Bowie later in the game in Hibs to switch to a back four at some point.
Yeah, I was actually just wondering about that, because didn't you say beforehand, David, that it would be a different tactical approach?
He did say it would be a difficult tactic approach, yes. But again, I think it was maybe what he was meaning was when we've watched the game so far, it looks as if he said this is always going to be the plan, and then try and put Kieran on with the last 30 minutes to go maybe, and try and get the goal. Both teams have just totally cancelled one another out. And he's maybe had that up his sleeve and a different tactical approach. Save his legs for the last 30 minutes, and then away you go.
I mean, they made changes, obviously, going into this one, but are Hibs in some way suffering, do you think, from the exertions, not necessarily just of midweek, but what has been a very draining, demanding European run?
You could say that, but their performance doesn't look like it. They've certainly got lots of energy at the top end of the pitch. They don't look in any way as if they're suffering from fatigue. But what I would say is they're maybe not as sharp as what David would like them to be, but they've certainly, as Martin Boyle picks the ball up and he's ready to drive forward, he looks fresh anyway. But I wouldn't say in any way it's a European hangover. What I would say is after today they're going to get a break, and I think the players have a well-earned rest and they're ready to go for after the international break.
I suppose what you would say also is that if there are any question marks in that respect, you're going up against Stephen Robinson's St Mirren side, who are, if not the most, one of the most organised and disciplined and difficult teams to play against in the division. Yes,
they're very well drilled, and as I said, when you speak about tactical approach, I think David's basically said to his players, listen, you're going out man for man, going to play that way, and then we'll flip it. But you can see how well coached St Mirren are, how they go and press, where they actually leave teams gaps in space, but it's in front of them. If they come off it, they're a mid-block, don't let anything through and don't let anything in behind, and they're very well drilled, but when they do win it, they go forward very quickly.
Goalless it is between Hibernian and St Mirren. Aberdeen and Falkirk goalless. Aberdeen down to 10 men. Nicky Devlin sent off, and of course Dundee 0, Dundee United 2. Zach Sapsford, Ivan Dolchek with the goals, and United. I mean, it's a bizarre league table right now, Scott Allen, but they've propelled themselves all the way up to third place. They're one of 6 teams on 4 points. I mentioned earlier, it shows how tight the whole division is, that here we are 20 games in and more than half the sides have yet to win a match.
Yeah, I think in terms of, the European stuff has had an influence on that. I think once give another six weeks, you'll see more of what the table should look like come Christmas time. I think teams obviously have had more injuries than they probably expected this time of year as well, and a lot of changes to squads. Obviously United, I'm kind of comparing Dundee and United at this point because there was such massive overhaul in terms of players in and players out. But United have obviously adapted really well. You've seen some good performances in between that Rapid Vienna, especially against Hearts. That was one of my games of the season so far. The game at Canada's fantastic game. But they've got some. They're going to be a hard team to beat this year. Look at Hibs. I've done the game during the week. Hibs were outstanding for large parts of that game against Rapid Vienna. Once it obviously settles down a bit for them as well, and they don't have that Thursday Sunday, you might see the best of Hibs. Chaiwa, I don't know. Ranks will be able to tell us what he was like today. He's been, the last 3 times I saw him, he looks like a fantastic player. He's going to make a real difference to this Hibs team. So many teams obviously not quite worked out what their best team is yet. Of course, we're not even. Well, we're just at the end of August. First international break upon us, but a lot to like about some of the teams. I think the biggest one is, in terms of you look at that Rangers Celtic game today, is the two of them are miles off for their standards at this moment in time, and if one or two of these teams are able to put a run together, this could be the season where they could be just looking over their shoulder, the two Old Firm teams, so it'll be very interesting.
Well, you'd certainly be looking at Hibernian in that respect. You'd be looking at Hearts, wouldn't you, who went top of the table yesterday, showed great resilience and coming from behind against a very tough Livingston side who were absolutely on the front foot in the first half. But Braga, Kizaridis, they got the goals as Hearts turned it round, took the 3 points, and they're another side that looked to be benefiting, Scott, from new players coming in and settling very quickly.
Yeah, they have obviously new manager as well. The coaches in there. I think in terms of, I think I would more favour Hibs just now. I think looking at Hearts, you don't really necessarily want to be coming from obviously 3-0 down last week at Motherwell and then obviously losing at Livingston and coming back and win it. Yes, you do create character and confidence when the squad were at, but you don't want to be giving teams leads. Hibs and other foot for me look they look the real deal this year, and I think we'll see the best of them obviously now without the Thursday, Sunday, and they've got real competition for places in that squad, so it's going to be really that first Edinburgh derby is going to be a really tasty one.
Sure is. Look, I guess one thing, John, that Hibs might, it's not a concern because it's still so early, but they need to start winning games at Easter Road, don't they?
Yeah, I think they do, Richard. Winning games here, he wants to turn the place into a fortress, especially here. And you look at the crowd today, I think that could be a big plus for them. Scott was talking about the midfielder Chaiba. He's been pretty quiet today, but I've been really impressed with him as well. And he's one that will get the Easter Road faithful on side with his energy in the midfield, and he's quite combative in the way he plays. But again, I think Hibs are just now maybe try to find the right kind of balance with regards to the games on the Tuesday and the Sunday. And once it settles down, I agree with them. Hibs will be a good force, but listen, I was going to say the privilege of playing against Hearts in pre-season, but I'm not sure if that's what we'd call it. We played them in the Premier Sports Cup, and honestly, the strength and depth they have in that squad, I was really impressed with Braga that day and the way they go and play. Hearts will be a real force, and we all know what Derek McInnes' experience is in this league. They'll be a force to be reckoned with this season, that's for sure.
Well, they've made a strong start and they look to continue to build on that. As I mentioned, they have now got the goalie in Alexander Schrolo, the German, experienced German goalkeeper. It's a position that was causing them a few issues. They'll be looking to maintain what has been a really fine start. Both Hibernian and Mirren, of course, looking for the breakthrough there at Easter Road. The onus in the main, you'd imagine, on the home side. Hibernian, can they find a breakthrough, or will St Mirren do what they've done to so many teams in recent seasons and get themselves in front in the second 45? John Rankin will keep us right across everything that's happening there. We've got Willie Miller at Pittodrie as part of this mini open all mics that we're doing to close things off this Sunday afternoon. How are things progressing now at Pittodrie, Willie?
Well, Falkirk get the upper hand now, Richard. There's no doubt about that. A couple of opportunities. Spencer had a shot that was easily saved. Arfield been really prominent. Trying to take control up just over the bar. Another opportunity for them. Arfield set up Spencer as well. Arfield had the strike at good save from Meetoff. It falls to Spencer, who has another good strike. And the goalkeeper's been worked for the first time in the game, really, but he's been well worked, and he's got the better of anything that Falkirk can throw at him. But the away side has definitely got the upper hand now. As you said, they're keeping possession, they're moving the ball, but they've got a lot of intent as well. They didn't have that in the first half. The game in the second half been predominantly played in the Aberdeen half, and Aberdeen have rejigged. Marko Lazatic has came on as well, so he's up through the middle. Whether he's going to get any service, the thing about Tallinn is he still keeps the three up. He's got a two sitting in midfield, but he's still, Keskinen and Ausic is, they're still well up the park to support Lazatic. So we'll just have to see what the main striker has got. Hopefully something that Aberdeen haven't shown that they have possession of in the early part of the season, and that's a goal scorer.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's a young man, and he actually, albeit he's highly rated, he doesn't have any record as such of scoring on a regular basis at senior level. So it's maybe a lot to ask him, but at least they've got him on. It gives the fans the chance to see the young man and to see if, all of you, to see if you feel that he has got what it takes to fill what is now becoming it's a gaping hole in the squad, isn't it, in terms of a regular goal scorer?
It is, yeah, without doubt. And projects, I think there's probably too many projects.
You don't like a project, do you, Willie?
I don't mind a project if it's if it's an isolated one, but I don't know, you're looking around the squad, a very young squad as well. The players that are being brought in, they haven't been tried and tested, or the majority haven't been tried and tested, so you don't really know what you're getting. It's only an opinion. It's an opinion from whoever is, or whether it's you know, whether it's some kind of statistics they work on. I don't know how they identify these players that they've been bringing in, but most of them seem to be like you know, projects that they hope they can do a Majowski on, and you know, eventually develop a player and then sell them on. It could be a little bit dangerous. It's not working out so far, but we have to see how the striker is. He's just on. He hasn't had much of the ball at all, but you expect that when you're down to 10 men. It's been difficult for Aberdeen. They've had to just soak up the pressure, and Mitov been brought into action on a few occasions as well. So it's probably going to have to be you know, meagre service that he's going to have to put up with. But hey, you know, some strikers only need one chance, and we'll just have to wait and see if Lacetic is one of these strikers.
So he came on for Jack Milne. So have they?
No, it wasn't Jack Milne. It was
I beg your pardon.
Paul Vara.
All right.
Jack Milne came over, Richard. That was the same.
Goal!
Let's hear a bit of goal from John Rankin.
Goal at Easter Road. It's a free kick in the wider area. St Mirren work it really well. They're all standing offside, and they run behind the defensive block from Hibs, get their bodies in. There's two running behind, and it looks like Miguel Frecklenton. Richard, I don't want to say what he looks as if he's put it in with, but it's not his head and it's not his feet.
Somewhere in between.
Yes, somewhere in between. The ball bounces on the way in from the cross, and he just gets on the end of it. There may be an offside check, but for me, he was the one that looked on. So 1-0 St Mirren, 61 minutes gone. But again, Richard, we spoke about it, but pre-match about David Gray having a different tactical input today. Before that, he'd already shouted on Bowie, Mulligan and McGrath to come on. Now the three of them are ready sitting at the side, and obviously the goals just went in, so he will make those changes just now.
Yeah, look, we're waiting just for the VAR to clarify and to confirm that the goal stands. I think you hear the announcement there in the background. Just waiting for it to be confirmed.
Just waiting, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so 1-0 as it stands for St Mirren, with Freckleton getting the opening goal, if that is indeed confirmed by VAR. So Miguel Freckleton, one of the various new signings in Paisley over the course of the summer. He is hoping to have made a big name for himself at Easter Road. It seems to be a fairly lengthy wait. John's instinct was that Freckleton might have been onside, but clearly it's one of those where there are a lot of bodies. They'll be drawing the lines.
There is a lot of bodies, Richard, but it looked to me as if Gogic was the one that went early. Gogic went early. Freckleton looks as if he timed his run perfectly. Listen, I'm obviously a good bit of distance away, but it certainly looked that way from where I was.
Right. I mean, if it stands, and indeed St Mirren go on and take the 3 points, I keep saying this about St Mirren, it is no longer a surprise when St Mirren
goal. 1-0.
There you go. So it's been confirmed. Miguel Freckleton has put St Mirren in front at Easter Road. It's absolutely no surprise that St Mirren keep getting the kind of results that they've been getting for the last few years now, John.
No, it's no surprise. They all know their jobs. He doesn't change system at all. It's a back three, almost a back five, three in midfield, and the three in midfield are real engines, and they have to be. They've got to go out and shut it down full-backs, because he leaves the two up top, and they're two physical guys, and the ball goes forward really, really quickly. And listen, it might not be pretty to watch at times, but it's successful. And he certainly gets the best out of his players. But now it'll be really tough for Hibs to go and break them down now, because it will be a real five. Martin Boyle's come off, Chris Cadden's come off, and so is Junior Hoylett, being replaced by Mulligan, Bowie and McGrath, as we said. So Hibs have now made the three changes, and it'll be a completely different energetic side to them at the top end, with Bowie being through the middle now. St Mirren will need to go and defend against that, but again, they're so well coached in those defensive thirds, and it'll be really difficult for Hibs to be able to break them down now.
Scott Allen, you've seen a lot of Hibernian this season. I mean, they're not going to have the issue of European football, so they won't be on that Sunday loop that they've been on at the start of the season. It's going to be interesting, isn't it, to see if David and the players can find something in the last half hour or so to get back into that one.
Yeah, well, I think obviously if you don't have the game midweek, then the three that have just come on would probably have started the game. In fact, definitely have started the game. As I said, I don't think you'll see what Hibs are really like until you see the effects of that week to week then kick in. At the same time, I think you've got to give a huge lot of credit to St Mirren. Seen them play against Rangers last week, and I thought they were excellent. Make it really difficult for you in that midfield area, as John was speaking about. They make it really difficult. Great energy, and they've got a bit of quality as well. Two big guys up front are a real handful, and they've got pace in the full back areas now. So since Stephen Robinson's built a really good team again, they are going to cause problems for any side they come up against. You've seen it in the opening day against Celtic. It took them to a 84th minute, I think, for Celtic to then take the lead, take 3 points that day. You've seen how difficult they made for Rangers. They were so unlucky to just come away with a point on that occasion, and now away to Hibs, they're showing that they can really put up a good fight, and on and off the ball they're a really difficult team to play against. Great physicality about them, a bit similar to Dundee United as well from what I've seen today. So there's going to be so many teams vying to get in that top six when you look at it, but St Mirren are not going to be an easy game for anyone.
No. It's amazing. I mean, I touched on this earlier with John, but the Hibernian, with all the praise they've rightly had this season, there is an issue there, isn't there? I mean, they've lost 3 of the 4 home games so far at Easter Road this season. Yeah,
well, see, the Kilmarnock game, they were 2-0 up and absolutely cruising. It was as dominant. I'd seen them in the first half against domestically in a while. To be fair, it could have been 3 or 4. And then they lose a goal. That was a poor goal they lost just before half time, and that completely swung the game. A bit of nervousness. Obviously Brent Brannan comes out with an absolute screamer on that day. But they then didn't have the answers to go and take all 3 points, so it will be a concern. But I just feel there's enough quality in that squad now without the Thursday Sunday that they'll come through it, because as I said, there's a lot of quality. Obviously Kieran Bowie now on the park has been, honestly, he's been a revelation this year in terms of his hold-up play. I still think there's more to come from him as well. I think that's the scary thing. So Hibs will be okay. I just feel you've got to give huge credit to St Mirren, because what Stephen Robinson's built again at St Mirren is a team that's going to compete for everything.
And competing they are this afternoon. They're in front thanks to Miguel Freckleton, who has scored for St Mirren. Hibernian 0, St Mirren 1. It's still goalless at Pittodrie. Willie Miller, any sign of that changing?
No, and the only sign is that it's Falkirk that's creating the opportunities. They've had 2 or 3 strikes at goal. Agyeman had one that was by the post, really good effort. He came on as a sub. Arfield and Spencer, linked up with a little 1-2, a really good volley that was cleared off the line. So it's Falkirk that's been, pushing Aberdeen back. They're really struggling to get themselves up the park. Knuster just I can't believe it. He's just been booked. He's been given a yellow card. He goes into a tackle. His arm, the trailing arm, is on the ground, and the ball hits his arm, and the referee gives him a yellow card. That isn't right, is it? I mean, that's no. If you go down and you're using your arm, Scott Baines had to come off. So Scott Bain suffered an injury, so Nicky Hogarth is having to come on in his position. He's strapped up, he's got his left arm strapped to his body there, so didn't really see what happened to him, because Aberdeen weren't in that area at all, so it's a bit of a mystery. But that handball is just ridiculous, Knuster goes down, he's protecting himself from falling, really, If anything, he should have been booked for the challenge, I thought, because it was a kind of a lunging challenge. But the referee indicated it was an arm, it was a handball, that he booked him for a yellow card for nothing in my book. But Aberdeen struggling, they're really struggling to make any impact going forward, and it's just been all about defending. And it looks like a matter of, are Falkirk good enough to create something and actually find the back of the net? They do! It's a goal for Falkirk. It's a substitute, I think, is it? It is Kieran Wilson who's come on, and just as I was speaking there, the ball just fell to him. But a good fortune there, just maybe about 14, 16 yards out, and he's hit it with a lot of venom into the back of the net to give Falkirk the lead here.
Okay, sounded like something was happening at Easter Road as well.
Yeah, 1-1. It's a corner that comes in at the box, and Bashiri gets across the front of a defender. Richard King right now and Marcus Fraser are having a discussion in the middle of the 18-yard box, where Bashiri gets across and puts in the back of the net, but there's dispute. I'm not sure if it's going to VAR, but they're arguing amongst themselves. 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, VAR will obviously check it, they always do, but if there's nothing much in it, it'll be a very quick check. The good news for Hibernian, if indeed it stands, is that they are very quickly back on level terms. Bad news, of course, for Aberdeen, who are trailing to Falkirk, but great news for the visitors. Willie, is this the first time you've seen Falkirk this season?
It is, yeah.
What have you made of just the squad that John has there and the style of football that they play?
To be honest, Richard, I wasn't impressed with them in the first half. When it was 11 v 11, they were totally dominated by Aberdeen. Didn't offer much at all. Yeah, they tried to pass it, and they do pass it, but it was a timid type of passing that wasn't going to, have any impact or cause any disruption in the Aberdeen setup. So if you're asking me about the first half, then I wasn't particularly impressed with them. Obviously they've got the advantage of the extra man, and they've been using that well, and with them passing and finding more space and more room, then they have been impressive. So you can see what the aim is, and the fact that they've got that extra man, they're using it to good intent, and they've got the goal, and that's the important thing. It's a rather scrappy effort, but Wilson took it well. He's came for a deep position. He's just opened up he's side-footed it, but with a lot of pace, and it ends up in the back of the net. Maybe a bit of a scrappy affair, but still a good finish from him. A good finish from the substitute that's came on, and John McGlynn will be more than delighted with the way things are going. And as for Jimmy Tulane, well, he'll be bemoaning that sending off, that's for sure. He'll be bemoaning the fact that although they created numerous chances in the first half, they didn't take any of them. And he'll be moaning the fact as yet he hasn't found a striker.
Just 15 minutes to go, and it's Kyrell Wilson who gets his first goal for Falkirk. Let's go back to John at Easter Road, round about the same time as Falkirk scored. Hibernian also scored, and everything's been ratified there.
Yeah, it's been all cleared. It's a goal. The ball, what it was, Richard, was the ball get played in. There was a corner, and they were disputing what had went on. But King, it looks as if he'd pushed Bashiri into the goalkeeper. That was what the dispute was. It was actually the defender, the St Mirren defender, had pushed the Hibs player into his own goalkeeper, and Bashiri obviously gets the header at the back post. So 1-1, and all to play for. 20 minutes to go.
You get these players who just kind of emerge as cult heroes at clubs. You've got to say there was a spell, and a fairly lengthy spell, where Rocky Bashiri looked as if his time at Hibs was probably done and dusted. The rebirth of Rocky Bashiri has gone hand in glove with the rebirth of Hibernian, hasn't it?
Yeah, was there not a point that Rocky Bashiri's contract, Rocky Bashiri had been told he could leave the club, but he triggered a clause in it? Was that him? A couple of seasons
that's
back?
right. Yeah,
he was on his way out. He'd been told he could leave the club, and then what had happened was he triggered the appearance clause the season before and stayed, and now he's turned into a cult hero, as you say. No, you can see that he's committed, he's wholehearted. He causes problems in the opposition box, but he defends his own box really well too, and you can see he's as I said, he's a hero now. But again, Hibs have been able to make the 3 changes and have certainly had an impact on the game. And with Bowie through the middle, it's quite interesting, because this is the first time I've actually seen him live rather than on TV. But he's constantly on the move, and he's a menace. So he's on to cause problems, and he certainly has so far.
Yeah, I mean, Bashiri, you're looking at Rocky Bashiri, and obviously he's there mainly for his defensive qualities. But in a squad that includes Martin Boyle and Kieran Bowie and Junior Hoylett, Rocky Bashiri is also top scorer for Hibs this season on 4 goals. Hibernian 1, St Mirren 1, Aberdeen 0, Falkirk 1. Scott Allen watched earlier as Dundee United beat Dundee by 2-0. We'll hear later from both Stephen Presley and indeed from Jim Goodwin, who will clearly be the happier of the 2 managers. For those who are maybe just getting back to their cars, heading back home again, Scott, who didn't hear your summing up earlier on, is this going to be... Well, it's going to be a really difficult spell for Stephen Presley coming up, as he needs to find something to get this team, this squad up and running, doesn't he?
Yeah, I don't think any question that any fan who was here today or watched it on the TV, they wouldn't have been endeavoured from what they've seen in terms of an attacking sense. Yes, as was touched on, when you go away from home, you have to be a bit more reserved in terms of how you're playing. For me, I always think it's easier to set up to destroy. But today, being the home team, playing a derby match, only one team played it like a derby, and Dundee United were first to everything, all over the park. The only team that showed any real moments of quality. And from a Dundee perspective, they just lacked urgency, lacked any sort of creativity. Long balls up to Simon Murray, who was so isolated, no runners off him. Up against a United backline who's all 6 foot plus, just not ideal for a striker who we know, if you create the chances for him, will score goals. So he's going to have to go away, obviously, during this international period, look at how he can swing it from being defensive. And then when you do have the ball, for me, it's pretty simple. When you do turn over the ball, you have to keep it for a bit and allow your team to get up the park. And for me, Dundee just didn't keep the ball well enough at times. They didn't really risk to get reward at all. I thought there was times the midfield free, just let the game pass them by. When they could have been really demanding the ball in the middle of the park, they didn't. And that was just a recipe for the performance that you've seen today, which was, to me, just devoid of any ideas or any creativity.
On the other hand, so much to enjoy from United. I'll come back to you on that. Was that a bit of excitement?
Yes, it was. Again, it's Cadden on one side to Mulligan on the opposite side. Cadden comes down the side. It was really, they worked it well into Bowie's feet. Bowie plays it wide. They put the cross into the box, and that's the second time Hibs have been unlucky with a back post runner. But it's Mulligan coming into the back post this time, and it just hits him. Goalkeeper reacts really quickly, straight at him. Either side of the goalkeeper, I think he needs to make a save there. But Hibs have certainly turned up the heat. And it's always balls coming into the wider area. So Mirren are having to defend slightly deeper now.
Into the closing stages, of course, of these two matches. Hibernian 1, St Mirren 1. It's still Aberdeen 0. Falkirk 1 on the home side, showing any signs of reviving in this one, Willie Miller?
Not really, Richard. It's been really testing for them. They haven't had any opportunities in the second half at all. And it's just been about defending. It's been a real struggle for them to get themselves actually into the Falkirk half, and when they do, I don't think, although they've managed it at this moment, but it's been easily dealt with by the Falkirk defence. So a real challenge for them, but 82 on the clock and not looking like creating any opportunities. It's got to be a big turnaround. Perhaps Falkirk will fold back and maybe try to protect that 1-0 lead, and that might give them the opportunity. But as yet, they're struggling to make any impact. But that is as yet. There's still that 10 minutes, and anything can happen. And if you're an Aberdeen supporter, you hope that something will happen. If you're a Falkirk supporter, then obviously not.
Well, unless it's at the end that provides them with a further goal, I guess. But they're ahead, and that would be a brilliant result, wouldn't it?
It would be fabulous for them.
It'd be magnificent. And just the next step in this remarkable run that Falkirk have been on in the last couple of years under John McGinn. In the English Premier League earlier, Brighton came from behind to beat Manchester City by 2-1. It was Nottingham Forest 0, West Ham United 3. Which I think would have probably bust a few coupons for those who do coupons. 10 minutes in, it's Liverpool 0, Arsenal 0. In the SWPL earlier, it was Partick Thistle 0, Celtic 7. Doubles there for Amy Gallagher and for Morgan Cross. Celtic top of the very early table. And of course, Hibernian and Glasgow City with a game in hand there. But it's 3 wins out of 3 for Celtic in the 4 o'clock kickoffs. Hamilton 0, Hearts 0, Montrose 0, Aberdeen 0, and Rangers have gone 1-0 up against Motherwell, with Brogan Hay getting the goal in the 29th minute of that one. The SWPL highlights with Jane on BBC Scotland Channel. That's tomorrow night, Monday night at 7:30. And remember, you can get all the SPFL lower league highlights online at bbc.co.uk/Sports Scotland. That will include a very impressive 5-0 win for Kelty Hearts. Sorry, a big. I've gone back in time for East Kilbride. I was just trying to set you up, and I made such a Horlicks of it. Some win yesterday, and Cameron Elliott's getting 4 goals, his first 4 goals of the season.
Yeah, first 4 goals of the season. His form is an absolute screamer as well, from about 25 yards out into the top corner. But a really good performance, nice and comfortable. lots of possession, lots of chances made, and to go with obviously the 5 goals, we get a clean sheet as well. And we'll look forward to Hamilton next Saturday.
You're looking forward to that, John?
Looking forward to seeing Scotty's face, Richard.
Always. How could you not look forward to seeing that face? It's been a brilliant start for you, Scott. Obviously, I think a lot of people fancied East Kilbride to come up and to just settle in fairly quickly. I know that because I've seen a few of these teams in that division recently that there's a fair bit of opposition there. And actually there's been some really interesting, some surprising. You look what Edinburgh City have done already, getting to within 6 points of 9th place, having had a 15-point deduction. So they're clearly, they've caught the eye. The Spartans, I think they were surprising last year that they didn't have such a successful campaign. It's going to be a most enjoyable, most challenging season for you guys, isn't it?
Yeah, as listen, I think we've obviously take the first game of the season to Spartans away from it, which I actually felt probably done us a world of good. Had the team realise that if you're not on it, you'll get punished, as we were that day. But since then, we've obviously went on a winning run. A couple of cup games in there as well against Queen of the South. We were really good. But it's listen, to win leagues, it's over the course of a season. It's just a good start at this point. But I think once we finish the first quarter, you'll be able to see and feel what other teams are like in the league. And listen, it's going to be a long season, but it's as good a start as we could probably wish for.
And you enjoying it? You settled in nicely there at the club?
Yeah, it's been brilliant. I think obviously going to a team in coaching where you have a really attractive style of play, I think it definitely helps. It helps you enjoy the games a bit more, not have a sore neck like it is at some games. So I think in all aspects it's been perfect for me. Probably my closest commute in my career, 15 minutes away from the house. So I can't argue with that either. But most important, it's good getting on the pitch, obviously giving back to the game, retiring in the summer, but going to a game on a Saturday and being able to watch it and enjoy it in terms of the football you're playing, I definitely think it helps.
Yeah, John, there are times in coaching and management where it goes like Scott is describing there. There are other times that are more challenging, and clearly that falls into that category for you, right? You know, how tough has it been for you just trying to keep the players focused, given everything that's been going on behind the scenes at Accies?
Yeah, it's been difficult. It's been challenging times, as you say. Obviously, with the summer, it was quite turbulent. Obviously, we deducted 15 points and demoted as a league, so we ended up getting into League One. They changed the stadium as well. You're leaving your hometown to go to Cumbernauld, which is 20 miles away, 15-20 miles away, sorry. And then the supporters are obviously don't want to do that distance, which is absolutely understandable. And then since then, we've obviously various problems over the last few weeks with registrations of players for KDM Cup games, which has not been ideal. But again, it's one that you want the players to be fully focused on the game, and with different things going on. Not on the pitch, off field, in regards to players not being able to play just before games. It's certainly it's difficult for them and challenging for them, and I've got full sympathy for them, because ultimately that's why us as coaches, and Scotty will tell you now, that's why we go into coaching, because we want to have relationships with players, we want to be close with players, we want to try and make them better and let them focus fully on the game. But just now it's obviously they're seeing players in the dressing room who they train with on a daily basis not being able to play in games for different reasons, and that's hard for them, and I've got full sympathy with them.
Yeah, I mean, I hope everything gets sorted out behind the scenes for you, which allows you and the players to get on and properly do your job. I've got to say, having been there yesterday with Cove, the one thing I would say is, I mean, what you have got is there's a real spirit there. You can see the bond, the unity that there is between that group of players.
Yeah, without a doubt, Richard. I mean, as I said, yourselves as well, you said one sub yesterday. We had, I think we had 5 or 4. But some of the boys in the bench haven't started a league game or even appeared in a league game. So, listen, we know it's tough, but what it does do, it brings everyone together. And what I know is the players are right behind myself and the coaching staff, and we back them fully. And we trust them to go on the pitch. Of course, we don't have much up our sleeve to be able to change games and the flow of it. But one thing that I can guarantee is we'll stick together through the tough times, and that's when you look at the players and you're pleased to be able to go to work with them every day, and try and make sure that they become better and we become better as a whole.
Well, look, good luck for the rest of the season, John. I mean, the one consolation right now is that you get to see Scott Allen next weekend, so you'll be looking forward to that in the KDM Evolution Trophy. John, what's happening in your game at Easter Road? Still all square between Hibernian and St Mirren?
Yeah, still all square. There was a chance there for St Mirren again, a free kick where they're trying to block people off and run in behind, offside this time, so that the run wasn't timed quite as quick. But Hibs have certainly turned up the heat. They've got Bowie through the middle now away with Cleege. He's actually impressed me. He's a buzz bomb up the top, runs about, causes problems. He's buzzing everywhere, and it puts the defenders under real pressure. But what Hibs are now doing is they're risking the ball in different areas, and Evan Mooney's come on and he's a willing runner to go in behind, and that's caused various problems just in the transition. But again, they've just stole the ball at the back post here. Declan Johnny's running into the box, and defender strikes out a leg and he's over the bar, so it's a corner to St Mirren. But I don't think the game's dead. I think there's still something in it for someone, and there'll certainly be chances getting into the final stages. So there's 5 minutes in the clock plus whatever stoppages the Matthew McDermott adds.
Well, they're already in stoppage time at Pittodrie. Are Falkirk heading for their first league win of the season? Are Aberdeen heading for a third successive league defeat for this season, and to extend a run, of course, which stretches all the way back to last season as well? They lost their last 4 games in the 2024-25 league season. Willie, how's it looking?
I've got a little bit of pressure on. They won a free kick, but Aussies managed to make a total mess of it. Put it behind the goal. They've now got a corner and Topi Keskinen puts that in, and it's not great either. So the quality of delivery, for the 2 set pieces when they have had the opportunity has just been dreadful. Oh dear, this could be the second one. Mitov is coming back. He made the total hash of it coming out 30 yards or so, and passing it to a Falkirk player. Just looking at Zagiman that he passed it to, and if Zagiman would have been a little bit sharper and had more power with the shot, then he could have caught Mitov well out his goal line. But it was a weak effort from the substitute. But Aberdeen, obviously with just a few minutes to go, pushing really hard to try to get the equaliser. But no, it's not. What is he given? Oh dearie me, what is he given? No, seriously, the linesman here who's in the Aberdeen half had his flag up, and the referee's given a free kick in the Falkirk half.
Right.
So it's not offside, yeah?
Well,
surely.
It can be if that's
linesman. No.
Yeah, I remember
surely
Michael.
He's offside, no?
Well, yeah, I remember Michael explaining this to Al Lamont in very patronising fashion one time.
Okay.
That as he likes to do. So okay. I mean, it can be.
I'd have to get 10 minutes with Michael then, so he could explain it to me, hopefully in less patronising fashion.
Anyway, they are deep into stoppage time there. Falkirk, thanks to Kyrell Wilson's first goal for the club, are leading 1-0 at Pittodrie against the Dons. It's Hibs 1, St Mirren 1. Rocky Bashiri levelling for the home side 9 minutes after Miguel Freckleton had put St Mirren in front with his first goal of the season. Earlier, Dundee 0, Dundee United 2. And we'll have reaction to that game. And we already did bring you reaction from Ibrox, where it was Rangers 0, Celtic 0. Willie, you'd be delighted to know that Michael's going to give you a call later and respectfully explain it to you.
That's okay.
So
no,
just let me know.
That's fine. It's just that I thought that you could only be.
Well, but he holds you in such higher regard than he does Al Lamont. Yes, so that's rightly so. So that is why it will be done that way. Right.
Although I am an old dog, I'm still open to learning new things, Richard.
I'm well aware of that. And that's always a good side to your nature, William. Aberdeen 0, Falkirk 1, Hibernian 1, St Mirren 1. We're heading close to the full-time whistles in those matches. Well, certainly at Pittodrie, where they are deep into stoppage time. I think just ticking into stoppage time at Hibernian. Both sides having pushed to try to get a winner in that one. John Rankin is there for us watching on. Which, if either, is looking the more likely as you move into that additional time, John?
I'd say Hibs. Just now, I would say Hibs. The crowd are up. They put the ball into the box 2 or 3 times, even long throws. Just now they're going into the box, and the supporters are right on them. try to encourage them to see it through. They brought a beat on the left hand side, and they've now got wing backs overlapping. Centre backs overlapping wing backs, which is causing problems for St Mirren. But they're leaving gaps open as well. Yep. It could be interesting on the counter. St Mirren are through now. Oh, he's chopped back inside. He was inside. He chopped back outside. Didn't need to. So it's going end to end now. Both teams are trying to win it.
Hibernian 1, St Mirren 1 as things stand at Easter Road. Hibs, of course, looking for a second league win of the season, having won at Dens on day one. St Mirren are chasing their first victory. Or is it going to be a third draw out of 4 matches for them? It is remarkable. Kilmarnock, Motherwell, Rangers all starting the season.
Full time, Richard.
Yeah.
Full time at Pittodrie, 1-0 Falkirk.
Well, it's an all too familiar story for Aberdeen. It's 3 successive defeats. They've yet to score a league goal after 3 matches, and that on top of 4 successive defeats to round off the 24-25 campaign. Congratulations to Falkirk, to John McGlynn and to Kyrell Wilson, who got his first goal for the club as they picked up the 3 points that see them join that vast group of teams on 4 points. Aberdeen 0, Falkirk 1. Reaction from there. Still Hibernian 1, St Mirren 1. Bashiri for Hibernian. Freckleton had put St Mirren in front, and they are now into stoppage time. In England, it remains goalless between Liverpool and Arsenal midway through the first half at Anfield, after those earlier wins for West Ham and for Brighton, who beat Manchester City coming from behind. Aberdeen women have gone in front. That must be in first half stoppage time. It is 7 minutes into stoppage time. Montrose 0, Aberdeen 1. That's now confirmed as a half time. Rangers 1-0 up at half time against Motherwell, and it's Hamilton 0, Hearts 0 earlier. A 7-0 win for Celtic against Partick Thistle. Time is ebbing at Easter Road as these two battle to try to find something that will give them the full 3 points. It is Hibernian 1, St Mirren 1. John Rankin is watching on. No sense that either of these teams settling for a point right now?
No sense of settling for a point. Hibs had an effort just before we were into stoppage time. It was Mulligan, they were down the right hand side. McGrath drove, committed Declan John, slid Mulligan down the side, and he fired a cross goal, but it was wide of the mark. But over and above that, St Mirren have had a couple of times when they broke and they just chose the wrong pass. They've got it in the wider area just now and try to put it in the box, but none of the two of them are settling for a point. Actually, they're both going to try and get the win. We've got 2 minutes left of added time.
And still they are tied up. In the week ahead, remember the SWPL highlights on Monday night. I mentioned those lower league highlights. It's a really good package the guys put together. You get that online at bbc.co.uk/sportscotland. Each day throughout the week, Monday to Friday, the Scottish Football Daily podcast is published. That sounds like something happening at Easter Road, John.
Yeah, there's too much happening. Billy get the ball in the half turn on the halfway line, slides it down the side. Cleege makes a run, but Bowie is running beyond. Gogic grabs him and pulls him to the floor outside the box. Meanwhile, Cleege goes inside the 2 St Mirren defenders and gets pulled to the ground, but the ball's not out for a throw, and Matthews stopped it, but I'm not sure he's booked Gogic, so it's obviously been able to continue. So it's not a penalty, it's a long throw. Gogic booked, and we've got 2 minutes left to go. Yeah,
wow. It's madness. Mayhem at Easter Road. Yeah, the Scottish Football Daily podcast, Monday to Friday. You can subscribe to that. You can pick it up wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, the week will be rounded off. And let's hope it's rounded off in exciting, positive fashion, because Scotland kick off their World Cup qualifying campaign with the first of the double-header. They do so, of course, away to Denmark. You can watch that game live on BBC Two Scotland on Friday night if you're not around a telly, or if you prefer the radio. And why wouldn't you? You get Sportsound on Friday night as well. So there'll be coverage right the way throughout the campaign here on BBC Scotland. John, what on earth is happening now?
Corner, front post area, flick on, flies up in the air, it comes down, and as it comes down, Cleege gets a touch to it. The Hibs players are claiming a handball. Whether it is or not, I don't know. Matthews Wade play on, but again, VAR could call it back. He's got his finger. No, he's blew the whistle. But he's got his finger. No. He's blew the whistle, but he's got his finger in his ear.
Oh.
And he's paused it, so it could be pulled back. He's pointing his watch to the players. It looks as if he's blew for full time.
Yeah, but they're doing the VAR review.
Yeah, that's what it looks like just now.
Okay, well, he's just going to have to keep them. I've seen this
possibly
before.
Penalty. It's went to VAR. He's blew the whistle, but it's went to VAR, so it could be a penalty.
Wow. I have seen this before. As you said, John, it was Hibernian who were attacking. It's obviously for them, and they are now hoping that they will get the thumbs up, that they will be awarded this penalty.
It was interesting, though, Richard, because he only blew one whistle. He never blew three, as you'd expect for full time. He just blew one, and the players are obviously walking off, but...
Well, if he's blown the one, presumably, is it for the goal kick then?
No.
It's not that.
The play continued. St Mirren get into the Hibernian half. Hibs are defending, and he's just pointed to the watch, blew the whistle, just one whistle, and play's stopped, and everybody's on the pitch just now. Obviously, the time's up, but they're still checking potential handball through VAR. Again, at the time, the Hibernian set players were incensed because they thought it was a handball, but the ball's come down for a good height. And as I said, it's Cleege just gets a touch to it.
I think it's Jaden Richardson, I'm told, that it's come off.
I don't know who it's come off, because straight away they cleared it, but you could tell with the way the Hibs players were reacting.
Wow.
I don't know if Matthew's having to come at the screen or not, but he's standing.
So by the sound of things, this is not clear cut. This is one that the VAR team are looking over. They are
glad
reviewing.
I'm not in the studio, Richard. The stadium's really quiet, and I think everybody's wanting to know what's going on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Hibs fans just want to hear it's a penalty, and the St Mirren fans desperately hope to hear that the referee says nothing doing.
No one's left. There's the stadium's still full. Nobody's left. No, he's blew for full time. That's it. Over. No penalty. He's blew three whistles. No penalty. That's it.
I tell you, Hibs fans, that is such an anti-climax, is it not? Because you're desperately hoping that the stadium's going to erupt and it's going to be a penalty. St Mirren will breathe a sigh of relief. Look, that's something else you'll be able to watch on Sportscene tonight, guys. Remember, the highlights are on with Stephen Thompson and the team at 7:15 on the BBC Scotland channel. So those full-time score lines from all across the Premiership, from midday right the way through until where we are now, just hitting 5 o'clock. Rangers nil.